Are you brave enough to face the truths about life that most men learn too late? Why do so many men wish they had embraced these 5 Stoic lessons sooner? Be warned, these lessons might challenge you, might even hurt your feelings, but they are the unspoken truths that every man needs to hear. Remember, it's never too late to learn these lessons deeply and genuinely. Let them not be the wisdom you acknowledge too late, but the knowledge that guides you through the complexities of life. First, let's delve deeper into dichotomy of control, recognizing what we can change and surrendering to what we cannot. How often do we waste our energy on things beyond our control, leaving us drained and frustrated? Think about it. How much of your day is consumed by worrying about the actions of others, the state of the economy, or even the weather? The hard truth here is that many of us spend our lives trying to control these external factors, only to come to the stark realization that such efforts are futile. Instead, Stoicism guides us to focus on our own actions and reactions, which are truly within our sphere of control. This is a lesson that can transform frustration into peace of mind, but is often embraced too late in life, typically after much wasted energy and missed opportunities for personal growth. For example, consider the entrepreneur who micromanages every aspect of his business because he believes control is synonymous with success. It's only after experiencing burnout and personal losses that he might realize that relinquishing control, delegating, and trusting others can lead to better outcomes, both personally and professionally. This realization often comes late, sometimes too late, when relationships or health have suffered irreparably. The Stoic practice of focusing on what we truly control not only conserves our energy, but enhances our effectiveness and peace. It teaches us to be internally strong and responsive rather than reactive to the external chaos. It's about making a fundamental shift from trying to control everything to mastering your own reactions and emotions. This Stoic lesson on control is a hard truth because it confronts the illusion that we have much greater control over our lives than we actually do. It challenges you to rethink where you put your efforts and to reevaluate what you consider being within your power. It's a difficult lesson, often learned through hard experiences, but it is also incredibly liberating. By understanding and accepting what we can and cannot control, we open the door to a more serene and effective life. So I ask you to reflect on where you might be exerting effort in vain and consider how shifting your focus internally could dramatically change your perspective and impact on your life. Moving on to acceptance. Acceptance is a cornerstone of Stoicism. It asks us to acknowledge that life's trials are inevitable and teaches us to see them not just as misfortunes, but as opportunities for growth. This is a hard truth that many men learn too late. Often, we are conditioned to fight against adversity, to view any sign of emotional pain as a weakness. But Stoicism offers a different perspective. It teaches us that true strength lies in resilience, in our ability to endure and grow from our experiences. Let us consider the story of one of our good friends, Michael, a man who climbed the corporate ladder with fierce determination. His identity was tied to his successes, and failure was not in his vocabulary. However, life, as it often does, threw him an unexpected curve, a career-ending mistake that publicly humiliated him. This was not just a minor setback. It was a pivotal life event that forced him to reevaluate everything. In his despair, Michael first tried to regain his old life, to reach again for the heights he had fallen from, but he soon realized that this was futile. It was only when he embraced the Stoic lesson of acceptance that he found peace. He started to see his failure not as the end, but as a beginning. He ventured into a new path, one that led him to teaching, where he could share his experiences and guide young professionals. His past failures became powerful lessons for others, and surprisingly, for himself. This is the profound impact of acceptance. It doesn't make the pain of loss or failure any less real, but it changes how we interact with that pain. We begin to see that every heartbreak, every loss, and every failure is not just an end, but a crucial part of our personal evolution. Life's challenges do not diminish with the practice of Stoicism. Rather, our capacity to handle them grows. We learn not to waste our energies resisting the inevitable, but to use our strength in moving forward with a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. This Stoic wisdom is a hard truth because it confronts us with our vulnerabilities and our fears. But it also offers a powerful promise that through acceptance, we can find a resilient, fulfilling way to live. It is a truth many men learn too late, often after much suffering. But it need not be so for you. Embrace these lessons now, and you will not only be prepared for life's challenges, but will thrive in the face of them. So let us move forward with this knowledge, not with fear or reluctance, but with courage and openness, ready to transform every hardship into a step toward greater wisdom and inner peace. We will now move on to the virtue of reflection. Let's dive deeper into these hard truths about life that, unfortunately, most men learn too late. Reflection is not just a tool for self-improvement. It's a survival strategy in a world that constantly pushes us toward immediate gratification and reactive decisions. In the hurried pace of today's life, we often neglect to pause and contemplate our actions, which can lead to repeated mistakes and missed opportunities for personal growth. Consider the story of Alex, a highly driven technology executive whose life was the epitome of success by conventional standards. His days were packed, from early morning emails to late-night strategy sessions. But this non-stop cycle left little room for reflection or emotional processing. It wasn't until a personal crisis struck, a divorce that he didn't see coming, that Alex realized how disconnected he had become from his own feelings and from those he loved most. This is a common theme. Many men find themselves blindsided by personal upheavals that could have been mitigated or even avoided altogether had they taken the time to reflect on their emotional states and relational dynamics. The hard truth here is not just recognizing the importance of reflection, but understanding that it is often overlooked until it is desperately needed. The practice of reflection enables us to make considered choices that align more closely with our core values and long-term goals. It helps us avoid the pitfall of living reactively, of making decisions that feel right in the heat of the moment but don't stand up over time. Moreover, reflection fosters a deeper emotional intelligence, which is critical in all aspects of life, from personal relationships to professional environments. Emotional intelligence involves being aware of our emotions and those of others and managing them constructively. The practice of reflection enhances this awareness and management, enabling better communication, empathy, and conflict resolution. It's a stark reality that this practice, so critical to our mental and emotional well-being, is often adopted too late in life, frequently after significant damage has been done. But here's the encouraging truth. It's never too late to start. If you find yourself resonating with this message, consider how you can incorporate more reflective practices into your daily routine, whether it's journaling, meditation, or simply setting aside quiet time to think. These practices can dramatically shift how you navigate life's challenges. So, I challenge you to begin today. Reflect on your day each evening, ponder the decisions you made, and consider how your emotions influenced your actions. This is how we grow. This is how we prevent future regrets. This is how we learn to live not just reactively, but with intention and wisdom. In embracing reflection, we confront a hard truth about life, but one that liberates us and empowers us to live more fully and authentically. It's a lesson many learn too late, but one that you can start learning now. As we dive deeper into the Stoic wisdom, let's talk about the importance of simplicity. In a world that is constantly pushing us towards the next big things, Stoicism teaches us the value of simplifying our lives. This doesn't just mean decluttering your physical space, but more importantly, decluttering your mind and your commitments. Why do men often wish they had learned this sooner? The answer lies in the overwhelming burden many carry unnecessarily. Many of us are trapped in a cycle of perpetual busyness, believing that a full calendar and a constantly buzzing phone are signs of importance and success. But Stoicism challenges us to question, are these activities truly adding value to our lives? Are they enhancing our well-being or just filling our time? Consider the impact of this lesson on someone like Michael, A corporate executive whose life was a series of scheduled meetings, frequent flights, and late nights at the office. He chased promotions and accolades until the stress manifested physically and mentally. It wasn't until Michael faced a serious health scare that he realized the cost of his complex lifestyle. By applying the principle of simplicity, he began to strip away the non-essential, focusing on what truly mattered, his health and his family, and leading with purpose rather than just power. The change was profound. Michael not only improved his health, but also became a more present and effective leader. His story is a powerful testament to the idea that less is more. Men, especially, often learn the value of simplicity too late, mistaking complexity for accomplishment. They pile on responsibilities, social engagements, and high expectations, often at the expense of their health and personal growth. By the time the essential lessons of Stoicism are realized, sometimes through hard knocks or significant life events, the opportunities for joy and presence have been significantly diminished. This is why embracing simplicity is not just about making life easier, but about making it richer, more meaningful, and more aligned with your true values. When you remove the clutter and noise, you make room for growth, creativity, and a deeper connection with others. So let's challenge ourselves to evaluate our commitments, to declutter not just our spaces, but our minds and schedules. Ask yourself, what truly deserves your time and energy? How can you simplify your approach to life to focus on these priorities? This realization and action might just be the most liberating and fulfilling journey you embark on. Remember, learning to simplify isn't just about easing your day-to-day life. It's about setting the foundation for long-term fulfillment, resilience, and peace. This is the wisdom many men wish they had embraced sooner. Don't wait until a crisis forces your hand. Take control and let the Stoic way lead you to a more purposeful and balanced life. And what about gratitude? Stoicism instills in us the practice of gratitude, not as a fleeting sentiment, but as a daily discipline. It teaches us to appreciate what we have rather than always reaching for what we lack. This shift in focus from scarcity to abundance changes everything. Why is this a lesson many men wish they had learned sooner? Because it fundamentally alters how we experience every day of our lives. It's about changing our default setting from what's missing to what's present, from what's wrong to what's right. Let's consider the real-life example of Michael, a veteran who struggled with post-traumatic stress and reintegration into civilian life after returning from deployment. Michael's days were initially marked by what he had lost: his sense of purpose, his camaraderie with fellow soldiers, and his role in a structured environment. Life seemed a series of deficiencies, and this view almost led him to a breaking point. However, through Stoic practice, Michael began to cultivate gratitude. He started small, appreciating a sunny day, the quiet moments of morning coffee, or a smile from a stranger. This wasn't just about finding things to be thankful for. It was about reprogramming his mind to celebrate the present. Over time, this practice helped him rediscover his value and establish new connections in his community. He realized that gratitude wasn't just about feeling better. It was about building a foundation from which he could grow and contribute meaningfully to others. This example of Michael illustrates a powerful Stoic lesson. When we learn to focus on gratitude, we can transform our lives from the inside out. We stop being prisoners of our past losses and become architects of our present joy. It's a lesson many men learn too late because society often emphasizes achievement and acquisition over appreciation. If more men learned this lesson earlier, imagine how much more fulfilling our lives could be. We would live not in a constant state of wanting more, but in a state of appreciation for what is. This is why gratitude is not just a practice, but a revolutionary act in a world that constantly tells us we need to have more to be more. So as we move forward, let's carry with us this profound lesson. Let's not wait to appreciate our lives until we are looking back in regret for what we missed. Start today and every day with a moment of gratitude. Make it a discipline. Make it your strength. Watch as it not only changes your life, but also the lives of those around you. I urge you today to take these lessons not just as advice, but as essential tools to build a life of purpose, resilience, and tranquility. Start small, perhaps with the practice of reflection, and gradually integrate these Stoic principles into your life. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Reflect, embrace, and control, but above all, grow into the person you are meant to be. Let these lessons not hurt your feelings, but instead, let them pave your path to true and profound fulfillment. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for being a part of our Modern Stoic Minds community.